I don't know why I'm surprised, but yeah, Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier are still employed by the Miami Dolphins. I said it yesterday. I said it this morning. I hoped that we would be live at some point on Monday after Week 7, reacting and celebrating the firing of Mike McDaniel and or Chris Grier. But as time has gone on and on and on, it is abundantly clear that the owner of the Miami Dolphins, Stephen Ross, is the root of the issues inside this organization because he is the one who lacks accountability. He does not care if this organization is run into the ground. And some might say, oh, what are you talking about? He fired Brian Flores. He fired Joe Philbin. I'm telling you right now, this clown that is currently the head coach of the Miami Dolphins is way worse than anything the Dolphins have had at head coach over the last decade plus. I know McDaniel took this team to the playoffs twice, but where the current relations are of this Dolphins team, it is way worse than anything that has happened over the past decade. The GM of this football team, Chris Grier, has been the GM since 2016. Absolute no success. No division titles. No playoff victories. Only 3 meaningless wild card appearances. Yet, McDaniel and Grier are still employed. And it's because of the owner. And on today's show, we're coming in hot, folks. We're talking about benching Tua. We're talking about the ineptitude in the front office. We're talking trade rumors. And we're going to answer some questions as well on a Q&A. So hopefully everybody's buckled up for a wild Monday edition of Dolphins Today. I am Nic Rohloff. Shout out your city for me down in the comments section. Where are the real ones watching from? As we welcome in producer Coop into the building today for the first time. How are you doing today?
I'm a little disappointed. I'm disappointed that we weren't live earlier, breaking down the firing of two men, to be exact, and that would be the GM and the head coach of this football team. You've said it over the past couple of weeks, and I will reiterate it right here. It is a slap in the face to every Dolphins fan that these two men still have their jobs. It is unacceptable. It is deplorable. It is, frankly, something that just is completely unacceptable, and they just should not be employed. I don't know how much more plainly I can put it.
It's just bad, man. Shout out Tyson in Miami. Shout out Joyce in Baltimore. Robert in Stockton, California. We got Zach in West Palm Beach. We got Eduardo in Rialto, California. We got Steve saying Belichick is GM and Harbaugh is head coach. No. Simon is in Germany. We got Steve in Pasadena, California. The Clay Stop Motion in Madrid. Clay Stop, are you going to the Madrid game? Dolphins Commanders.
At the Bernabeu.
In, what is it, a month at this point? Yeah, week 11. XI in Northern New York. Dwayne in Tarmac, Fort Lauderdale. Magallo in Paris, California. Chicago for Ziggy Zag. Gallup, New Mexico for Professor X. Jay the Goats in Cuba. AR is in Louisville, Kentucky. We got Tom Rice in Ocala. John in the Bahamas. Jet in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. Steve in Jamestown, New York. Debbie in Syracuse. Up in my neck of the woods, where I'm originally from.
How far is Jamestown?
Rochester, New York. Jamestown, I believe. I always get Jamestown and Johnstown confused. It kills me. Holy shit. Because there's one relatively close to St. Bonaventure. I forget if that's Jamestown or Johnstown. The other one is like 3 hours away from Rochester. Jamestown or Johnstown, whatever one's near Bonaventure.
Shout out 585.
About 2.5 hours away. So I always get confused. Anthony's at State College, Pennsylvania. How about that? Robert says, where should I send my Fins gear? In the closet. Just put it in the closet, put it in a little box, and then label it for when Mike McDaniel or Chris Grier get fired, and then we can pull it out of the box. I'm standing true. I've done it for what? It's been 2 weeks now?
You have not.
I am not going to wear a single piece of Dolphins gear on the show until McDaniel or Grier are fired. And heck, for some god-honest reason, they somehow are still back at their current job next year. Looks like I'll never be wearing Dolphins gear. I did make a stipulation. I said Dolphins gear will not be worn until they fire one of Grier or McDaniel or they get above 500
Correct.
again. Which, that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen either. And you have stayed true to your word. I don't think you've worn a piece of Dolphins gear since, period. Let alone the show.
Not one. We'll refuse to do it. Jamestown is near Buffalo. Johnstown's near Binghamton. Thank you, Debbie. So Jamestown's the one closer to Bonaventure, about 45 minutes, an hour and away. Johnstown is actually, fun fact, where my ex-girlfriend's grandma was from. That's why I know Johnstown. That's why I know Johnstown. But yeah, there's that. Do the Dolphins need to bench Tua Tagovailoa? Why for yes and for no?
You know my answer.
You know my answer.
I don't know your answer.
Wait, did you not see the show I scripted today?
I was just building like a madman. I didn't have time to look at the opinions. But I think, look, man, make him a $50 million backup quarterback and let's go.
Listen, let's just say this. The Falcons are doing that right now.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. But the Falcons also have Michael Penix, who is far better quarterback than Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, that's true. But the point still remains, Coop. Point still remains. I see Lewitt, Brian, Cody, Logan, Zach all typing yes. Talowini saying yes. Jack Green, yes. Robert, yes. Unruly Rico, yes. I tell you what. Listen,
It's our live poll as well.
I'm stunned at the conviction and consensus of Dolphins fans all agreeing they're done with Tua.
Oh, I'm not.
I was saying this in the office earlier today because people were asking me about how the fans are feeling about the team and Tua. I said coming into the year, I think it was about a 50-50 split on if fans believed in Tua long term or didn't believe. I thought 50-50 was very fair. It was like an aisle. It was like a wedding. You got that side, you got that side. But at where we're currently at, based off what I've seen on Twitter and our YouTube comments, and then that's only giving me more conviction right here, I think it's 95% bench, get him out of here, 5% keep him. And that 5% is like the Tua diehards, the Tua stands. If you are a fan of the Miami Dolphins,
you want him out.
And take the bias of the players and the fanship of the players out of it and just look objectively at the future of this organization, I think most people realize, and I'm saying 95% of people realize, he is not the QB1 of the future. The only people that continue to ride for him are the people that can't separate Dolphins success and Tua success. That's kind of where I look at it. If you want the Dolphins to succeed, I think we all agree that this should be typing the Y's.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. Could not have said it better. It's time to go.
Actually, I'm kind of with you. Mendoza's my top quarterback right now. It started with the coming into the year. There was a lot of expectations on Garrett Nussmeier, Lenora Sellers, Drew Aller. Those three were the top recruits. Cade Klubnik, top candidates to be taken high in the draft at QB. Aller's surgery looked horrible before the injury. Cade Klubnik might be the worst quarterback I've ever seen. And then, what was the other guy I named?
Sellers.
Oh, Nussmeier has been equally as bad. He looks like he's playing hurt. Sellers has had a lot of ups, a lot of downs. There's still a lot to love there. I'm not out on Sellers by any stretch of the imagination. I think I would have him as QB2 right now. But Fernando Mendoza, the Indiana, the Miami, Florida native is my numero uno. 6'5", good arm. Love me some Mendoza, man. I love me some Mendoza. He's my number one guy right now. Mendoza, Simpson, Sellers are my top three. People are still trying to push the Dante Moore narrative on me. I can't do it.
I'm not there.
I don't know what it is. I just don't see it.
Yep.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
With you.
I just do not see the Dante Moore narrative. I've seen the Ty Simpson light. He looks great in this pro-style offense. Got arm, can make things happen outside the pocket. I just can't get behind Dante Moore right now. I can't do it. Maybe that changes. I don't know. If he comes back to school, which he's eligible to do, and balls out again next year at Oregon, all right, we could have a conversation. I just don't know. I wasn't impressed with him at UCLA.
I wasn't either.
I wasn't. And then he transfers to Oregon, and I feel like any Oregon quarterback can succeed.
I don't see it either.
It's like, what's the other school? Like Ole Miss. Like
anybody can go there.
If you play quarterback for Lane Kiffin, you're going to be successful.
Yep.
Now, Jackson Dart looks good, but the point remains. You play QB for Lane Kiffin, you're going to ball out. You play quarterback for Dan Lanning, you're going to ball out. Herman with a 5. Hugs, high fives, and handshakes, Rolly and Coop. Ross must be tanking for Sellers. Keep the faith in yourselves. Well, Herman, you're a Sellers guy. I do see people talk about how They think the best thing for the organization is actually to continue to employ Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel and Tua
To lose.
because they will be the best option Miami has to lose and end up with the top 3 pick. By the way, Miami currently has a number 2 pick in the draft heading into Monday Night Football.
I will counter that by saying I think Quinn Ewers is worse than Tua.
I would agree. I think if you could make the argument by keeping McDaniel keeps you more likely to lose. I'm out on Tua. Tua gives you a better chance to win than Quinn Ewers.
Yep.
That's just a fact. But yeah. Any QB we could trade for, any free agents next season? Free agents, not really the case.
You could probably go get Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, not doing that. You could throw this next question up, Joseph. I'm gonna look up some what's it called.
Appreciate you, Joseph.
2 good questions for the mailbag later on.
No doubt.
You could already get your questions in. #Dolphins or Super Chat. But Coop, while I look this up,
is Stephen Ross the real problem in Miami? Look, man, Stephen Ross is the one that employs Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel. He is the only one that can fire Chris Grier. He can also fire Mike McDaniel, but he's the only one that can fire them both and start this whole thing over again. Stephen Ross has stated repeatedly that he likes Mike McDaniel and has faith in him and wants to be patient. How has patience not run out with Stephen Ross? There is only one explanation, and it's that he does not care. Is he the root of all problems in Miami? 1 for yes, 2 for no.
By the way, a little interesting report here. Jordan Schultz just tweeted out sources with the Dolphins sitting at 1-6. Teams around the league are keeping a close eye on pass rushers Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, and Matthew Judon.
Judon, healthy and active yesterday.
Nothing really new there, though.
I'm seeing a lot of people saying yes. Axiom says yes and no.
And then more interesting news here. Raheem Morris just said Michael Penix has a bone bruise in his foot that will leave him day to day.
Ooh.
Michael Penix and the Falcons, the opponent for the Dolphins this upcoming week. So we may be seeing Kirk Cousins.
I don't know if that matters.
I don't either, because that run game will be, oh boy.
It will be bad indeed. The real problem is Grier, says Jonathan. You can say the real problem is Grier, and that's completely fine. And you know what? Don't wholly disagree with that. Unfortunately, though, Grier is employed because Stephen Ross has not fired him.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself if Stephen Ross is the root of all problems. And the answer might be yes.
Yeah. Well, make sure you get your questions on the show because there's a lot to talk about. #Dolphins or Super Chat. We'll do a mailbag. We got 4 segments today. We're going to talk about benching Tua. We're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about a Q&A and trade rumors. But to get on that Q&A, use #Dolphins or Super Chat. I'm sure the mailbag will be very, very interesting.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure. So get those questions in. And if you want the real show to start, hit that thumbs up icon right now. We got 193 people watching. Let's get to 90 likes. It's just under 50%. Let's get to 90 likes. We're currently at 42. Hit that thumbs up icon if you want the real show to start. To answer that super chat from Joseph Murrow, by the way, free agent quarterbacks to be this year: Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Jimmy Garoppolo, Mitch Trubisky, Carson Wentz, Malik Willis. So if you're looking at the quarterback market and free agency, you're not paying Daniel Jones $50 million. Hell, you're not even paying Daniel Jones $20, $30 million. So take him out of the category. And unless you want to go bridge year and cut Tua, sign a quarterback on the vet min and draft one, then I don't think free agency is the way to go. It's probably a rookie. Maybe it is a bridge guy like Mariota.
Flacco.
Or Russ or Wilson. Which would suck. It would be awful. But it would be a situation like the Giants to where you bring them in, and then by week 7, you have the rookie quarterback you drafted in the top 3. Kind of how I say. Maybe you trade for Anthony Richardson. Fuck it, I'm in. Excuse my language.
He is worse than Quinn Ewers.
Okay, but dude, no, hold on. Do it right. If they stick with Daniel Jones and they pay him in Indianapolis, tell me there's worse options out there to draft a quarterback top 5 if you land there. If you feel he is, and trade for Anthony Richardson, suddenly a 5th-round pick, which is all it would cost. Might be less than a 5th-round pick. It's how bad it is over there for A-Rich. Trade a day 3 pick for Anthony Richardson. Draft the QB top 5. You start Anthony Richardson if you feel that the rookie QB is not ready. If you feel like the rookie quarterback's ready, start the rookie. But if you need a sacrificial lamb to let the rookie get some more reps and develop and learn more, then you got the sacrificial lamb, Anthony Richardson. And God forbid Anthony Richardson works out in your system and scheme. God forbid, Coop. Now look at you.
It's not happening.
Just saying. It's an idea. Not saying I'm going to do that.
Now, Tyson Bryant says if we get Richardson, I want to see some triple option with Anthony Richardson, OG, and Achane.
Hell yeah, man.
I'm in on some triple option in the NFL.
Sick. Listen, I'll tell you what. We might be bad. We might be an entertaining bad, though. We're not an entertaining bad right now. All right, we need another 30 or 25 likes. Hit that thumbs up icon.
Also, no questions yet.
No, well, that's fine. We'll get there. Let's get the like up, though.
Get the likes up. Steve says trade Tua for Trevor Lawrence. You love Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
I'm a T-Law guy, man. I'll always believe in him until he dies.
He's just in the same boat as Tua. Top 10 picks that suck and have big contracts.
Younger.
By what, a year?
Like a year.
Oh, man. They suck. All right, we need 10 more likes. Hit that thumbs up icon, folks. Hit that thumbs up icon. Let's get to 90 likes, and then we can start the show. Let's get to 90. We're 9 away. And then we get the show started about benching too.
Here is how we win, Rolly.
Here's how we win? Okay.
We have to cut KJ Britt this offseason. Let Quinn Ewers wear number 3.
Well, KJ... Oh, you mean cut KJ Britt right now?
Sure.
Okay, because he's on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, cut him.
Okay.
Let Quinn wear number 3.
Okay.
Play the rest of the season. Let him get his oar back.
We got to 92 likes. Dwayne Owen says, grab Milroe from Seattle.
Use hashtag Dolphins.
I said the Dolphins should draft Milroe in the 3rd round if they could. As the,
you did.
I said that as the backup, but have a package for him in the red zone and short yardage. I'm stunned the Seahawks haven't done that. Now
they did a little bit in the first couple weeks.
I think it resulted in a fumble.
It did.
Yeah. All right, anyway, we got the 90 likes. Appreciate everybody for hitting that thumbs up icon. Let's get this first segment rolling, Coop, which is talking about benching Tua this week. Coop, when you're ready, juicy special coming up. White Goodman coming at you. Folks, it is time. The plug, pull it. Tua Tagovailoa cannot be the quarterback of this football team any longer. I know he is in the first year of that massive 4-year contract extension he signed before the 2024 season. But we have just seen so much evidence that he cannot be the quarterback because he lacks leadership. But then when you factor in the decline play, the inability of having physical traits to bail out this Dolphins offense, it's a shit show with Tua in Miami right now. And I think it's time to bench Tua. And I'll explain why throughout today's show. But let me know, do the Dolphins need to bench Tua for the rest of the season and essentially for the rest of his life? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I alluded to it in the open. He has, without a question, made the Miami Dolphins a worse football team. I think I'm confident in saying that. In terms of when you look at the average quarterback, He is way, way below average. And if you are below average, you are making your team worse. He leads the National Football League in interceptions with 10. He is tied with Geno Smith with the 10 interceptions. He has a career worst 82.8 QB rating and a QBR of 50.5. It has been ugly, ugly, ugly for Mr. Tua. And it's actually been back-to-back games with 3 interceptions. 3 against the Chargers, 3 against the Browns. His turnovers come in bunches, which is the most frustrating part of it. It feels like he either throws none and has no turnovers, or he has 2 or 3. I saw someone bet it. I think it's a good bet. If you see Tua throw an interception early in the game, bet that he'll throw another, because it's likely going to happen. I mean, you look at some of his advanced stats this year. Out of 34 qualified quarterbacks this year, he ranks 27th in QB rating, 22nd in turnover-worthy play percentage, 29th in ADOT, 23 in EPA per dropback, and 18th in completion percentage over expected. He is below average in every single statistical category and has been hurting this team. Watching him play this season is like watching a different person. Like, I get it. The offensive line was good. The rushing game was good. You had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But put up the film of 2023 Tua in comparison to 2025 Tua, and you would, like, believe that, like, they swapped his body for a different person. Like, it looks so, so bad. He's panicky. He's not confident. And he lacks the physical traits in terms of leading an offense. And he is almost overwhelmed consistently right now when you watch him play. Like, I get it. The offensive line is doing him no favors. You have a horrible offensive line with Larry Borum, Jonas Savianaya, and Cole Strange. But, like, it's still not good whatsoever. And you can't defend it. Like, and here's the most damning of it all, right? He has a 30.9% pressure rate on dropbacks this season. Fun fact, that actually ranks bottom 10 in the NFL. So you could say that's a lot of Tua getting the ball out of his hands quickly, so he's actually not pressured more than it is the O-line, because the O-line has certainly struggled. But when you look at his numbers when pressured, it just gets worse and worse. Like, his completion percentage is actually top half, but big time throw percentage, bottom 10. Turnover-worthy play percentage, bottom 10. His ADOT, so when he's pressured, his average depth of target is the lowest in football. And his QB rating is 20th. Whether it's a clean pocket, whether it's against pressure, it's been a hard watch. And, like, the word that I always have been using this year when describing Tua is panicky. That is the word. Like, when he drops back to throw and he feels pressure, like, his throw, like, it just comes off weak. He gets flustered and just, like, wings it, and it goes off target. I don't want to go out of line here and cross a line, but it feels as if the last concussion he had last season against Buffalo really did damage his confidence. He always said that, I like contact. I want to be hit. It feels good to be hit. Well, the way that you throw the ball when a defender is barreling in on you would tell a different story, because it looks like a guy who is scared to get lit up. And I get it. They've told you protect yourself, and you're trying to get rid of it to protect yourself so you don't land and snap your head back. But when a guy is coming in on him, straight at him, or he feels pressure from the left tackle, right tackle, he just gets flustered. He just spins around like he makes bad throws. Then, jeez Louise, it's a hard watch. It is. It's terrible. I know some people might not like this video, but hey, listen, we cover the Dolphins, and we want the Dolphins to succeed. Not individuals, the team. And we are going to be here every step of the way, hopefully for the next time the Dolphins find success. Subscribe to the channel for daily Dolphins coverage. So as we progress through today's show, I showed some stats and everything in between about Tua this season. Let's talk about actually moving on from him. Now, you're not cutting him this season. It's just not happening. But could you cut him in the offseason with 3 years left on his contract? The out was always after 2026 before the final 2 years of his contract. But with how bad things have been going right now, is it crazy to say a new GM and new head coach that you hope to God is in place this offseason could move off of Tua this upcoming offseason? Seriously. Like, if you look at his numbers for 2026, he currently has a cap hit of $56.4 million. If you cut him or trade him before June 1st, it's a $99.2 million dead cap. If you cut him after June 1st, though, the dead cap is only $67.4, which means you're only taking on an extra $11 million in cap for 2026 to cut him this offseason. And I got to be honest, I'm willing to do that. Because if you do cut him, it saves you about $26 million for 2027, and it saves you $60 million in 2028. Now, those savings will likely take place anyways if you just cut them before the 2027 season and after the 2026 season, but I'm willing to do it a year before because you're going to keep him on the contract for $56.4 million as a backup, or do you just say, I'd pay him $11 million more to not cause a distraction and be the backup? I actually think it's worth it. I do. I would pay an extra $11 million to not have him on the roster next season. Because why would you want to deal with the distraction if you bring in a rookie quarterback or a bridge guy? Don't do it. You see the Falcons, they've dealt with it. Now they've been able to move on and do a good job of handling it with the Kirk Cousins situation. And that's kind of the same thing here as Miami, right? It's either you keep him as a backup for $56 million, because I don't think anyone's trading for him, or you cut him and have a $67 million dead cap. It's a tough decision to make, but I'm willing to cut him. More coming up here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day. Way better than Tua's decisions, by the way. The right decisions on Prize Picks, you can get paid. So simple, just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks, the only app that offers stacks, meaning you could pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick more on Devon Achane rush attempts, receptions, and touchdowns? Well, now you can, only on Prize Picks. You can win cash this football season. How about basketball season, which tips off this week? Take advantage of the max discount, more than half a point for Steph Curry. I got that paired up with Nikola Jovic and Paolo Banchero, more than rebounds, assists, and less than 25.5 points. That's my entry for the first couple days of the basketball season. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks is good to be right. Like, if you bench Tua, there's a lot of other reasons why it may be worth it, right? Why not see what you have in the 7th round rookie, Quinn Ewers, who you drafted out of Texas, former number 1 overall recruit, 5-star guy, projected first-round pick, really struggles in his final season for the Longhorns, ultimately goes in the 7th round. Now, Miami upgraded him to QB2 for this week against the Browns, and he actually saw 12 snaps in the 4th quarter after they moved Tua to the bench. And before the game, Barry Jackson was told that Ewers was moved to QB2 because he has looked really good on the scout team, and they like his work ethic. They like how he's been preparing, and they love his arm talent, which certainly is very, very good. It would be a tough decision to see who's got the best arm talent on the Dolphins, whether it's Ewers or Zach Wilson. I still lean Zach Wilson a little bit. That dude's got a freak arm, which is why he went number 2 overall. Everything else didn't work out for him, though. But they felt like he was ready to play in a game if needed, and, well, he was on the field. And, listen, I know it's tough. It's 12 snaps and a blowout, but I don't think Quinn Ewers was very good. But you do see the potential with Ewers. You see the room for growth. Like, I want to highlight one play in particular because it was really bad for Quinn Ewers. But this play was elite quarterback play and why you might see the potential for him in the future. Shotgun snap here at your own 17-yard line. You take the snap, and I want to look at the offensive line. Look at the left guard, number 72, Jonas Savianaya. This screen grab was 5 seconds. 5 after the snap was had. Jonah is already falling down, bull rushed by the defensive lineman. And Quinn just took the snap. And he has to survey and make a decision based off this. So what he decides to do, he highlights this top guy one-on-one with D. Eskridge. Roll the clip, Cope. Look at this now. Look at where he's releasing this ball. Jonah's firmly on his ass, and the defensive lineman is jumping and lunging, arms stretched, at Quinn Ewers. And Ewers already decided to throw it. Look at where he threw this football. With a man jumping, leaping at his face, offensive lineman at his feet. Look at his base. He's not even stepping into this. Just flick. And he drops an absolute dot to D. Eskridge, who, give D. Eskridge some credit, made a contested catch here. But it was a beautiful ball from Quinn Ewers. This is the type of elite stuff that made him once a projected first round and even in consideration for the first overall selection. Was the rest of the game for Quinn Ewers very, very bad? Oh, yeah, he was terrible. But that one play is why fans and organization members, as well as coaching staff, are intrigued with this kid potentially developing. Because he's got good talent, and we've seen him make big plays. The question is, can he put it all together in terms of his mechanics, his footwork, and his decision-making to be a high-level NFL quarterback? I don't know. But pick a quarterback for me. Would you rather roll with Tua or Quinn Ewers the rest of the season? Type TT for Tua Tagovailoa. Type QE for Quinn Ewers. Now, we could have this conversation as much as we want. I kind of have alluded to, I would bench Tua. I'm done with him. I'm moving on. I would be interested to see what I got in Quinn Ewers moving forward. But it's not going to happen. Like, I might want it. You might want it. I got news for you. Quinn Ewers is not going to be starting games for the Dolphins. I'll tell you why here in a second, but let's just show you why that's not going to happen. Adam Schefter said today they're not going to turn to Quinn Ewers. It's too early in the year. They're going to keep riding Tua. He'll be their guy. And then during Mike McDaniel's morning press conference in Miami and mid-afternoon, he announced that Tua will take all of the first-team snaps in practice and remain the starter at least the next couple of weeks. Tua will be the starter this week against the Falcons, and he will certainly be the starter on a short week the following Thursday against the Baltimore Ravens. But the real reason why you cannot expect Quinn Ewers to start in the next couple of weeks or month is Mike McDaniel can't move on. And I don't blame him on this. I'll blame Mike McDaniel on a lot of things. I can't blame him on this because it's simple common knowledge, right? Mike McDaniel's seat is on fire. It's as hot as it gets. He shouldn't even be employed, but he still is. Mike McDaniel, unfortunately for him, married his long-term success in Miami to Tua. As soon as they gave him that contract extension, Mike basically admitted, my career in Miami goes as well as Tua's career in Miami goes. So if you bench Tua, you are essentially admitting you made them right or you made the mistake by extending him, but you also are done for the season. You bench Tua, that is essentially waving the white flag and saying, I can't do my job. You bench Tua, Mike McDaniel's gone. So Mike McDaniel's obviously not going to bench Tua. The only way that you bench Tua and start Quinn Ewers is after you fire Mike McDaniel. Because then that new head coach can make the decision on, okay, do I want to try to marry my success as an interim head coach with Tua or this rookie Quinn Ewers? Because think about it this way. Say, even though Anthony Weaver's defense has been horrible, he is an interim head coach when they fire Mike McDaniel midseason. If Weaver is the head coach as an interim for 6 weeks and he makes the decision to bench Tua and go to Quinn Ewers, and then Ewers lights it up looks like a Brock Purdy type of guy who was drafted in the 7th round and looks like a guy you're intrigued with starting going forward, well, you're going to be like, oh, shit. Well, Anthony Weaver was the one who started him, and that's who Quinn Ewers played really well under. It's like, oh, well, we should probably roll with Quinn Ewers again for another year and Anthony Weaver. So you see what I'm trying to say here? Like, the interim head coach will probably make that switch in all likelihood to try to maybe create a way to have him be the full-time head coach. But it's the same thing as McDaniel. He's not going to bench Tua because benching Tua is basically saying, yeah, you can fire me now. All right, I'll do it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for hanging out and watching with us. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 videos and live again on Thursday as well. Subscribe and join the channel. I hope I cleared my thoughts there because that really is like a full picture you need to realize.
No, you brought a new perspective on it for me, to be honest. Like, I didn't really consider that because you are absolutely right. Mike's career is tied to Tua for better or worse. The second he benches Tua is when he gets fired. So he is trying to hang on to whatever of his job is left, and he's going to live by the sword, die by the sword, and that sword is the Hawaiian lefty.
Yeah.
That's a very good point, Rolly. I enjoyed listening to that as a viewer of this channel.
And I really do believe that, like, if they do fire McDaniel, say during the bye week, they play the Commanders in week 9, 10, 11, bye week 12. So say you fire McDaniel after the game against Washington in Madrid, week 11. You have 2 weeks to prepare for out of the bye week against the Saints with the new head coach. Why not start Quinn?
Oh, my God. And then you have the Ewers versus Rattler rematch.
If Rattler's the still quarterback over there.
True.
But, like, my point is I'm trying to make, like, you have a new head coach and you're 1-10. Probably, if you're going to probably lose the next 4 games.
I don't see a win.
So it's like, why not go to Quinn? And if you're the head coach, why not try to see what you have in Quinn in the final 5 games of the season? Right? Makes sense to me.
I'm with you.
Makes sense to me. All right. Make sure you get your questions. Hashtag Dolphins.
We need more.
Chat. We got this segment, and then we're doing the Q&A.
We've only got 2 questions plus 2 super chats.
So 4 questions?
Yep.
We need more questions. Let's get 2 more questions in at minimum before we start.
There's another super chat.
There's Joseph, but he's already on there twice. He'll be on there twice because he sent a super chat. Super chats are guaranteed to be on the mailbag.
That is correct.
But use hashtag Dolphins in your comment in the live chat to get on the mailbag.
Axiom, that's a great question as well.
Cameron gets on there. Cameron gets on there. Like that.
I will answer Joseph's super chat here as well, but I also want to answer Axiom. They're not worse than the Jets.
Listen, it's interesting to say that because Tyreek Hill said, and it's out there, that he would be interested in returning to the Miami Dolphins on a restructured contract. And that's how it would have to be because he's got a $52 million cap hit, and you save $36 million in cap space if you cut him pre-June 1st. So it's like he is almost certainly being cut unless he restructures his contract to where the cap hit gets lowered significantly. But if I'm Tyreek Hill,
why would I want to?
I would accept being cut. I really would.
I
would because
absolutely.
it's going to be a new head coach, it's going to be a new GM, and a new quarterback in Miami. Plus, I don't even think Tyreek and Tua really like each other to that degree. So either way, like, why would you want to return? Other than the fact, outside of football, because your kids, family life. Yeah, I know he likes the city of Miami. I know he has a bunch of kids in the city. But, like, why would you want to play for the Dolphins if you're Tyreek Hill?
I mean, he does have a lot of roots in Miami, and maybe he just wants to, be stable and keep his career in one spot for the remainder of it. And I can see why, but if you're Tyreek, there's no way he's ready for the start of next season, right?
I don't think so.
So if that's the case, if you're Tyreek, either you just accept being cut and you can sign somewhere after the season even begins next year, or you can go pick a contender. Hell, maybe go back to the Chiefs and go find someone that you could actually win a Super Bowl with because let's face it, Dolphins ain't winning the Super Bowl this year or next, at minimum.
Yeah. Man, oh, man.
At minimum.
All right. I think we got a couple questions, so.
We do.
Time to move on to our second segment of the live show today. We're talking about the latest news on the Dolphins following Week 7. We got some injury news, as well as some quarterback talk from Mike McDaniel. So let's get into the next segment on today's show. Coop, just remember to hit record.
Yes, sir.
And then we can get rolling. Yep. We got some Dolphins news to discuss following NFL Week 7 on the injury front, as well as who is starting at quarterback for the Dolphins this week. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. Appreciate everybody tuning in with us here on your afternoon. Well, Darren Waller is not out for the year. That is the first piece of news we are discussing, because we talked about it on Monday's show in the morning that he had a pec injury. And his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, said they were going to do an MRI on Monday to find out the severity of that injury. A tear, out for the year. Strain, could return. Well, it was not a tear, and Darren Waller could be returning to the Dolphins this season. But this is why you subscribe to the channel. We'll cover you on news, trade rumors. We'll talk about potentially benching Tua, potentially firing Mike McDaniel. We'll have you covered, everything you need to know. We're family here at Dolphins Today. Join us. Rapoport had the note on Monday afternoon saying that Waller suffered a pec strain, not a full tear, and he is considered week to week. And it's actually some positive news for the Dolphins, right? Like, out of all the injury news Miami has had this year, has there been any positive developments? Austin Jackson hasn't played since week 1. James Daniels hasn't played since week 1. Like, just consistently having players in and out of the lineup with injuries, and almost every injury Miami gets, it feels like it's the worst type of injury. Not the case with Waller, and he'll be back this season. At least it's projected to be that way. Now, I do think it could be an IR stint for Waller, though. Why do I say that? Well, if you get placed on IR, it's minimum 4 weeks of games. And if it's a week-to-week injury, it's likely multiple weeks. Well, let's think about this. The way the Dolphins' schedule is progressing, they have 2 games in the next 10 days. They play on Sunday against the Falcons, and then they play on Thursday Night Football against the Ravens. Like, you're going to miss 2 games just there in 1 week. So, hypothetically, if he was able to return in 2.5 weeks, which I think would be a quick return, that would still be missing 3 games. So why not place him on IR and then just, all right, you got 4 games, you got a month to kind of get healthy and return to the lineup. Like, Mike McDaniel on the injury just makes it even more sense. He said during his press conference on Monday it would be living in hope to expect Waller to play this week because of that injury. The soft tissue injury to the pec. Like, so it's like he's not playing next week against the Ravens or Falcons. He's not going to play the week after against the Bills. He's probably not playing against the Commanders either. So just put him on IR, create a roster spot, and call up Greg Dulcich. Please. I've been hoping to get Dulcich on the active roster for at least a couple of games this season. He looked extremely good for the Giants in the preseason. Dolphins picked him up, added him to their practice squad, but he's not been able to get any run on the 53-man. I think that should change. And I certainly would like to see him in that same Darren Waller type of role with Waller out, because I don't trust Tanner Conner or Julian Hill as a pass catcher, but I would like to see what I have in Greg Dulcich. I would. All right, number 2 piece of news for the Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa is still the starter. I talked yesterday about potentially benching Tua moving forward, and you wondered if there would be a change there after he was replaced by Quinn Ewers in the 4th quarter on Sunday. Well, that is not going to be the case. Mike McDaniel said Tua will take all of the first-team snaps in practice and will remain the starter this week against the Atlanta Falcons. And you'd have to imagine he will start against the Ravens on Thursday night as well. It is very difficult to have a quick turnaround like that. So I doubt Miami would play Tua this Sunday against the Falcons. And if he stinks it up again, bench him to start Quinn Ewers or Zach Wilson on Thursday night, short week against the Ravens. I just don't think that's going to happen. I also don't think it is going to happen in general because of Mike McDaniel, right? Like, you can't make the switch for multiple reasons. One, super short week ahead of us in the next, 10 days. But also, McDaniel has his job status married to Tua. He benches Tua, he's basically waving the white flag and, all right, you can fire me now, right? Like, the two of those guys go hand in hand. They do. So, they're not making the switch right now, even if maybe they should. And we're going to talk more about Tua here in a second, but let me ask you this. What say you? Should Tua remain the starter for the Miami Dolphins? Type Y for yes or type N for no. It's hard to really answer yes to that question. Like, you want to bench him. It's just severely unlikely. Like, you look at Tua's numbers through 7 games this season. He leads the NFL interceptions with 10, tied with Geno Smith. He has a career worst QB rating of 82.8. And every single advanced statistic is just absolutely embarrassing. You look at his advanced stats on Pro Football Focus, he's bottom 10 in QB rating, bottom 10 in ADOT, bottom half in turnover-worthy play percentage, EPA per dropback, and completion percentage over expected. He is not elevating the offense. In fact, he is actually making it worse. He is! Like, the Dolphins scored 6 points against the Browns. That's an elite offense, I know. Or defense, excuse me. I know. But 6 points? Really? 3 interceptions in back-to-back weeks against the Chargers and Browns? Man. It's obvious this is his last season in Miami. Or at least it needs to be. Will it be? I don't know. Should it be? Absolutely. He can't be the quarterback one of your team. He just can't. He is so unable to perform physically at a high level, and some of his decisions that he makes are equally as bad. I don't think a benching could potentially take place until the bye week, around week 12 or week 13. I think a benching would have to come after you fire McDaniel. Like I said, I just don't think Mike McDaniel can bench Tua and keep his job. The two go hand in hand, in my opinion. More coming here around the Miami Dolphins, but shout out to Mando for sponsoring today's show. It is fall, crisp air, football, bonfires, and if you're like me, you're going to put in hard work, and that means sweat. Don't let body odor sideline you. Mando deodorant plus sweat control is for real working guys. Clinical strength sweat control. One swipe and you're good to go. It controls both sweat and odor for 72 hours. And after just 12 hours, underarm sweat was reduced by 92%. This stuff works. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like mini body wash and joint wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code CHAT. Use code CHAT at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Mando's got you covered with deodorant plus sweat control. Say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. More injury news to get to here in a second. No offensive line reinforcements coming for the Dolphins right now. It's frustrating. It's tough because it's hard to fathom Miami is not going to get any of these offensive linemen back. It's laughable, man. It is. It is. It's hard not to laugh. Like, Jason Sanders ain't returning. Austin Jackson ain't returning. James Daniels ain't returning. They haven't played since week 1. James Daniels. 3 years, $24 million. 4 snaps. I'm sorry for laughing so much, guys. Like, I can't do it. It's so bad. Austin Jackson played 8 games last year. He's going to miss at least 7 games this year. Like, it sucks when Mike McDaniel tells you that they could return quickly after their IR stint, minimum 4 weeks, and then they're here not playing 7, 8 weeks down the line. And by the way, quick conversation on Austin Jackson. I'm done with him. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He consistently misses games. He's a good offensive lineman. Above average, slightly. But, like, you'd have to be elite for me to put up with the amount of games that he misses. And he ain't elite. And, like, the two players filling in for the two of them. Oh, goodness gracious. Cole Strange had a really good start. Was good on prime time against the Jets. Horrible. Larry Borum. He's actually been better as of late. But still bad. It's just hard to watch this offensive line go out there and compete. They can't consistently move the ball and move the trenches. They can't do it. And if we're sticking with the offensive line here, Jonah Savianaya is the worst offensive lineman in football. I mean, he grades out that way, and the eye test tells you that. I think they got to bench him. They do. I said it on Sunday. I don't know how much more I can take of him. I would rather see Keon Smith out there. Like, Cole Strange is bad at right guard right now. Jonah is infinitely worse. He had another 4.3 pass blocking grade this week against the Browns. His pass blocking grade on the year is 4.2. QB2 battle. It rages on, folks. Rages on. I'm really like hard. It's hard to wrap my head around what's going on around this football team. It really is. I don't get it. Mike McDaniel said Quinn Ewers and Zach Wilson will compete for the Dolphins' backup quarterback job this week, hoping it doesn't end up being a week-to-week thing, and he just wants one person to take the job. Well, I have a question, Mike. If you upgraded Quinn Ewers to QB2 this past week, why is it still a competition? Well, like, Coop, you agree with me on this, right? Like, if you bench or make a change in the depth chart as a backup quarterback, that clearly indicates that you trust Quinn Ewers to be the backup more than Zach Wilson. So why is there still a competition? I don't get it. Who should be the QB2 in Miami? ZW for Zach Wilson, type QE for Quinn Ewers. Like, the more I go on about this team and try to talk about them, the harder it is to seriously just be like, whoa. Like, I don't think we understand the level of dysfunction that is currently happening with the Miami Dolphins. It is so bad. Like, we saw Ewers on Sunday against the Browns, played 12 snaps, 8 passes, had 53 yards on 5 completions. QB rating wasn't good. QBR wasn't good. It's just 12 snaps. He was pretty bad, inaccurate, missed a lot of throws, had the one crazy dot down the sideline to D. Eskridge. That was tough. But, like, if you're asking me about the QB2 situation, might as well just roll with Quinn Ewers, right? Like, Zach Wilson's on a 1-year, $6 million deal. The chances that he returns next season are very, very slim. Chances that Quinn Ewers returns, relatively fine, relatively high. Like, just roll with Ewers, man. I don't understand why you would go back to Zach Wilson. So I don't really know why this would be a competition between Ewers and Wilson for QB2. Doesn't make any sense. That'll do it for today's episode. Appreciate everybody for watching today's show. We'll have a video out later today, so make sure you subscribe and join us for daily Dolphins content. Apologize, brother.
I literally was like, what is he laughing about? And then I looked at my phone.
Wait, you looked at your phone?
Yeah. Is that not what you were laughing about?
What were you laughing about?
Wait, what were you laughing
No,
about?
I want to know what you were laughing about.
I was laughing about Sham's tweet. I thought that's what you were laughing about.
Oh, no.
Wait, no?
No.
What were you laughing about?
Oh, now I'm not going to tell you.
What?
You don't know?
No.
That surprises me.
What happened?
Nothing. We're going to have to refill Mando.
Oh, yeah, that's just not
That's
happening.
why I didn't even show this. So
What happened?
I don't want to say it to the viewers.
Do you want to Slack me?
Yeah, I'll message you.
What? We're about to get into our mailbag, by the way. So please use hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. We got a few questions. I saw Super Chat come in during this segment as well.
There you go. That's what it was.
No way.
You didn't?
No.
I thought you did. I caught it. I caught a whiff.
That is unbelievable. But
It's just like I was speaking, and then I just next thing you know, it just popped out, and I was like, "Oh, that's."
I thought you were laughing at Sean's tweet.
No.
And then I was laughing at you laughing.
No, I thought it was because of that. How bad do you think it's going to get the rest of the year? Is another win somewhere on there?
Oh.
We went through the schedule. I think there's another win on there. I don't think there's two, though.
They can maybe beat the Saints.
They could maybe beat the Jets.
They will beat the Jets.
Those are the only games I got for you.
They will beat the Jets. Sebastian Gomez coming in with the 10. Says, I like Zach Wilson over Ewers. I mean, Zach is clearly the more experienced quarterback. He was the number 2 overall pick back when he was selected. He has started in this league before. Like, if this Dolphins team was anywhere near contention, Quinn Ewers would not have been elevated to QB2.
Like, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Do you think you're beating the Falcons? No.
With Cousins?
You think you're beating the Ravens? Lamar Jackson should be back by then.
Probably not.
No. Do you think you're beating the Bills? No. I mean, you're beating the Commanders? No. You think you're beating the Saints? Maybe. You beating the Jets? Maybe. Back-to-back games. But then are you beating the Steelers in Pittsburgh?
No.
Probably not. Bengals? Not with this defense.
Nope.
Buccaneers? No.
Nope.
In New England to close the year?
Nope.
No. Like, the only two games that I see on the schedule the Dolphins can win are against the Saints and Jets in back-to-back weeks. But in all likelihood, Miami splits those. So I think the Dolphins legitimately are going to go 2-15 this season with a chance of going 3-14.
Unbelievable. I wish I could say you were wrong.
You like Zach Wilson over Ewers? Wilson's better.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, if this team was close to contention, they would not have made this move.
Correct.
Like, if they were, let's say they were 500 or a game over and Tua gets hurt, Zach Wilson's playing.
Yeah.
But now that it's a lost season, you might as well see what you have in the kid. All right, we did get plenty of questions.
Okay, good. We can move on and start getting rocking and rolling with a mailbag here. Emeka Egbuka is going to play today? That's unbelievable. Thank you for the $10 super chat.
Appreciate you, Sebastian. We'll also put this one on the mailbag as well. Any super chats get on the mailbag guaranteed.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We need a lot. Daniel, we need a lot. Oh, shoot. Let me take a sip of my water, and then we'll get going on the mailbag.
Not enough caffeine for you today?
I'm always tired. I mean, I don't like waking up at 6:40. Not a fan of that.
We can readjust if you want.
No, but because I like leaving at 5.
Me too.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's move on to the mailbag.
All right, let's do it.
As we transition from week 7 to week 8, I want to do a little midweek Miami Dolphins mailbag from our live show on Monday. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, answering all your questions on the draft, trade, coach, quarterback, everything you need to know. All right, as we get our first question up here, Joseph Morrow. Any quarterback we can trade for or free agents next season? I did look at the free agents quarterback list, Joseph. Top one is Daniel Jones, but the Dolphins aren't going to pay him what he'll likely command in free agency, so I would scratch him off. Other free agent quarterbacks notably are Joe Flacco, Russell Wilson. Those are really the only two. Like, the point is this. If you want to change quarterbacks, it's likely going to have to be via trade or the draft. Now, if I'm going to be honest, if you're signing a quarterback, a bridge one makes sense if you draft one top 5. But, like, also, if you want to draft a quarterback in the top 5, what are you doing with Tua? Are you just going to keep him on the roster as the backup? Well, then you don't need to sign or trade for a quarterback because he's your backup for at least a year. But if you cut Tua and then you need to go add another quarterback to be the backup or bridge guy, then okay, sure. You could do it with Gardner Minshew as well. You could trade for Jameis Winston, who I believe signed a 2-year deal with the Giants this past offseason. I didn't see him on the free agency list. That would be an intriguing option. There will be players like, how about this idea? What if you traded for Anthony Richardson? He's out in Indy. What if you traded for Anthony Richardson, day 3 pick, drafted a quarterback top 5, have a QB battle? Either Anthony Richardson starts the year, and then you move to the rookie quarterback later on if Anthony Richardson struggles, or the rookie you draft beats out Anthony Richardson, and he's your starter. That's an intriguing option. I would be all in on trading for Anthony Richardson to be the bridge quarterback for Miami potentially next season, assuming Miami ultimately drafted a QB in the top 5. Follow me over on Twitter/X for more around the Dolphins. Breaking news, memes, highlights. Currently have 2,448 followers. Looking to get to 2,500. Go give me a follow right now over at X. Herman with a question. Hugs, high fives, and handshakes. Roley and Coop. Ross must be tanking for Lenora Sellers. So, aforementioned quarterback. There is a lot of different quarterbacks that could be drafted in the first round this year. I think Lenora Sellers is certainly one. Ty Simpson from Alabama. Fernando Mendoza from Indiana. Dante Moore from Oregon has to be in the conversation. You have to talk about maybe Garrett Nussmeier, John Mateer. A lot of people are high on Sam Levitt from Arizona State. There's a lot of different quarterbacks that could be in that discussion. I'll say this. I think my top 3 right now are Ty Simpson, Lenora Sellers, and Mendoza. Not in that order. I would probably put Mendoza number 1, and I would love to take him. Grew up a Dolphins fan from the Miami area. But Sellers certainly has a lot of intriguing intangibles with his strength, his speed, his physicality. He's certainly a guy that if you believe in your coaching system and development system, you would take a guy like that. And who knows? Maybe the Dolphins will have a guy that implements a scheme that is very favorable to quarterbacks outside of Mike McDaniel, because ideally you fire Mike McDaniel, you hire a new GM, and maybe they trust their developmental system and you go out and take the high upside swing on Lenora Sellers. We'll see. But I would rather go Mendoza. Joseph with another question. Do we keep Tyreek Hill for our next quarterback? I don't know why Tyreek Hill would want to be in Miami. Like that's my question, Joseph. Like, seriously, he's likely going to be cut or he'd have to return on a restructured contract. And if he's returning on a restructured contract, why play for a team that is going to be probably amongst the worst in the NFL again next season, because they're going to have a huge roster overhaul and a new young quarterback and a new young head coach potentially? And why would he want to play with a guy that he doesn't have any rapport with, where he could go sign a cheap contract with the Kansas City Chiefs and Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes or something like that? Like, I think the Dolphins should just cut Tyreek Hill, save the $36 million in cap space to use in the offseason. And I think Tyreek would be better off for the rest of his career to kind of cut bait with Miami and go do his own thing with a different team as well. I just don't see the reason to keep Tyreek Hill. Do the Dolphins need to bench Tua Tagovailoa? Legit question. Y for yes, N for no. Let me know if you think Tua should continue starting at quarterback for the Dolphins. Dance King with a 5. How bad are you thinking it's going to get this season? Is there another win on the schedule? Well, I just looked at the schedule, and I'll quickly run through it. This week in Atlanta, probably not. At home against Baltimore, short week. I think Lamar Jackson will be back. Nope. Bills, nope. Commanders in Madrid, nope. So that's 1-10. Then you play the Saints at home coming out of a bye. Winnable game, maybe. Then you go to the Jets in early December. Winnable game, maybe. Then in Pittsburgh, not going to happen. Against Cincinnati, late December, Joe Burrow might be back, not going to win. Even if you play Joe Flacco, he probably beats you because of that offense that the Bengals have. Then you round out the season against Tampa, no. And in New England against the Patriots. So when you really look at the schedule, like I see 2 winnable games, and it's the Saints and Jets. And this team is so bad in Miami, you probably split those. So if you split those, that's a 2-15 year. Let's say they pick up a random win elsewhere, and at best, it's a 3-14 season. I think it's a 2-15, 3-14 season for the Dolphins, which should net them a top 3 pick at worst. We'll see what happens with the rest of the NFL, but we've seen 2 and 3 wins be good for the number 1 pick and number 2 pick in each of the last 2 seasons. Will that be the case this year? I don't know. There's a lot of bad football teams. Tennessee's really bad. New York Jets are obviously really bad. The Saints are obviously really bad. All of those teams we just mentioned, Miami and those 3, could easily finish with 2, 1, or 3 wins, and then tiebreakers have to come into play. But I would expect Miami to be picking top 5 because I don't see them getting more than 3 wins. And if you have 3 or 2 wins, I can guarantee you're in the top 5. Sebastian Gomez with a $10 super chat. Appreciate you. I like Zach Wilson over Quinn Ewers for QB2. It's a tough decision. We're splitting hairs here. And the question also becomes who starts if you bench Tua. Like, would you rather go with Zach Wilson or Ewers? I think at this point, why not do Quinn Ewers? Because you don't know what you have in Quinn. 7th-round rookie out of Texas, former number 1 overall recruit, 5-star, projected first-round pick. Obviously went in the 7th round. Like, I think I would just want to see what I have in the rookie. At this point, we know Quinn Ewers has more of an unknown than Zach Wilson. We know Zach Wilson is not a starting quarterback in the NFL because if he was, he would be starting, and he certainly wouldn't have lost the QB2 job to Quinn Ewers this week against Cleveland. So I think it's going to probably be Ewers if the Dolphins start a quarterback that isn't Tua. More questions to answer here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day. The right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. You could either choose the flex play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is the best way to put your takes to the test. Who is going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. Basketball starts this week. Take advantage of Steph Curry more than half a point max discount for Prize Picks. I also going with more than a Nikola Jovic rebounds and assists and less than Paolo Banchero points in that Heat Magic matchup. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Moving on to some questions now. No longer super chats. Appreciate everyone who super chatted. If McDaniel gets fired, besides Rex Ryan and Harbaugh, who else do you have on your list? Well, Cameron, I'm going to stop you right there and say Rex Ryan is absolutely not on my list. I think it would be actually worse than Mike McDaniel. I think I said that on a video, fun fact, that I would rather have Mike McDaniel for another year than hire Rex Ryan, because I think Rex Ryan would be as bad as it gets. But John Harbaugh is absolutely on my list if the Baltimore Ravens move on from him. My list of coaches: John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin if he gets fired, which isn't the craziest thing in the world, Robert Saleh from the 49ers, defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, current Chargers defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, Rams defensive coordinator, Mike McCarthy, ex-Dallas Cowboys head coach and Packers head coach. That is my list of 6. I think any of those 6 would be upgrades over Mike McDaniel. My number one choice would be John Harbaugh if he gets fired. But let's take away Harbaugh and Tomlin and just look at available head coach candidates. Salah, number 1. Probably put Chris Shula, number 2. And then I would probably put McCarthy 3 and Jesse Minter 4. Mario with a question. Pick up Jameis Winston. Yeah, I certainly think that's an intriguing option right there. If you were looking to draft a quarterback in the top 5, but have a bridge quarterback not named Tua, to where what I'm referring to is talking about a quarterback to start the season and mentor the rookie before he becomes the starter. I think Jameis Winston's a great option. People rave about Jameis Winston's leadership, his ability to be well-liked in every locker room he's been in is impressive. And he's an entertaining quarterback. We will be entertained every Sunday Jameis Winston plays football. And then when the Dolphins decide the rookie could be ready, you move on from Jameis to be the backup, and you start the rookie. Honestly, that's probably the most ideal thing that can happen next season. You trade for Jameis Winston, you draft a quarterback in top 5. No matter what you do, you're probably not going to be competitive next season. The goal is to be as competitive as possible in 2027. So you draft the QB this year in the top 5. You have them sit half the year, start half the year, and then in year 2, hopefully, of a new head coach and GM, you made the right decisions cap-wise and in the draft to have a competitive-esque roster in 2027 to where you're competing maybe for a playoff spot, but at least a 500 record, and then you take that next step forward in 2028 as a playoff team. It can be done with the right head coach hire and the right quarterback. It can be done. Just look at our division rival, the Patriots. 2 years ago, they were an absolute dumpster fire under Bill Belichick. They hired Gerard Mayo, stunk, out of there. Drafted Drake May, obviously was under Gerard Mayo. Brought in Vrabel, quarterback, head coach, 5-2, the number 2 team in the AFC right now. It can be done. Just got to make the right decisions at head coach and QB. If you want to be featured on the next mailbag, got to be subscribed and tune into our live shows. We go live on Monday and live on Thursdays. So hit that sub button, click on that notification bell as well so you get updated whenever we put out content on the channel. $5 super chat from Jonathan Soto. Shout out to you, Soto. I am done with Tua, but I can't put 100% blame on him. The injuries plus god-awful line play makes it where no QB would be able to play good. Well, okay. Jonathan Soto. Let me answer this in 2 parts. I agree you cannot put 100% of the blame on Tua. I agree with that. The offensive line is certainly not helping. But his play in his own right has been downright embarrassing. And where you say there's no quarterback that would be able to play good in the system, that's where I disagree. That's where I disagree. I think there are a handful of quarterbacks out there that would be able to have this team winning games. A playoff winning team? No. But a not 1-6 team? Yes. Just think about this. The Dolphins are a couple plays away from being a 500 team. Obviously this Sunday against the Browns was embarrassing. But week 2, Devon Achane stepped out of bounds against New England. Maybe the Dolphins win that game. They're 1-1. Zach Sealer doesn't run into the punter against the Bills. You might win that game. You had him on the ropes on the road in Buffalo. Could be 2-1. Against the Panthers. You could have won that game if you're able to get one stop defensively. There are so many avenues to where Miami wins a couple of these games. Let's be real here. You put any of the top 10 quarterbacks in football on the Dolphins roster, and this team is at least, we're 1-6 now, at least 3-4. At least 3-4 with a top 10 team or quarterback. Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Mahomes, Burrow if healthy. Heck, even Drake freaking May would probably have this team 3-4 the way he's looking right now in New England. Tua deserves 98% of the blame, but not 100%. Do you think Ewers can develop properly with the correct resources? Seems like we've got the worst O-line in football. Well, you certainly would assume correctly. Do I think he can develop in a way? Yes. Do I think he could develop into a legit high-level starting quarterback in the National Football League? No. Like, let's be real here. Brock Purdy, the Tom Brady's of the world, the 6th, 7th round picks that become starting quarterbacks and above average quarterbacks, those are unicorn type of guys that just happen to work in the right system. 7th round picks usually don't. So, like, I think the best possible outcome for Quinn Ewers is that he's a career backup, which I don't think would be a bad thing for a 7th round pick. I don't think it would, but I don't think he could develop into a starter. I really don't. John with a $5 super chat. Who do you look at for GM? I see Marino thrown around. Think he'd be okay, or do we need to look elsewhere? I'm not touching Dan Marino with a 10-foot pole. I'm not. I don't like the idea of bringing in a former, like the GOAT of Dolphins football into this role, because it's just different to be a player and a GM. Now, some make it work. John Lynch, for example, in San Francisco. But if I'm looking to be finding a new GM, I'm looking at Ed Dodds. I'm looking at people inside the Rams organization, the 49ers, the Ravens, organizations that have been consistently successful over the past decade. Those are places I want to take my players from. So Ed Dodds is an option. Ian Cunningham from the Bears is an option. But I truly do believe I would like to go with someone within the Rams. Like if you wanted to bring a Rams front office member over alongside Chris Shula, and that's your head coach GM combo, I'm fine with it. I'll take a little bit of the Rams recipe. They've been money. They've been money over the last decade. That'll do it for today's show. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us here on this mailbag. If you didn't get on our mailbag, got to join our live shows. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Nic_Rohloff. If you have more questions on the Dolphins, always available to answer them over there.
A lot of good questions.
Great questions today.
It feels like the people are fed up, Mr. Rowley.
Feels that they are.
I think you're one of the people.
I am absolutely fed up. Absolutely fed up.
And the problem is like, it's not one or two identifiable issues that need fixing and you're, boom, at the top. It's the head coach. It's the GM. It's the owner. It's the quarterback. It's the offensive line. It's the defense. Like, there are so many issues with this team right now that it's going to take a while for them to get it back to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't won a playoff game since I was in kindergarten.
You were in kindergarten in the 1900s?
Pre-K.
1990s, I should say.
It was 2000, right? Was the last time?
Yeah.
I mean, that's unacceptable. Alan, I don't think that the Miami Dolphins are going down the Nick Saban route again after what happened the first time. Different owner, of course, but
All right, I just had to send out a tweet about the Heat. Sorry.
what's going on with the Miami Heat?
I want to bring Tyler Smith in on two-way. I like him a lot. Like him a lot.
I swear that's why I thought you were dying laughing, and I was like,
No.
that's good stuff, man.
No. Yeah, no Nick Saban. All right, time to move into our final segment on today's live show. Talking a lot about trade rumors here. A lot of reports came out over the weekend from Diana Rossini, from Ian Rapoport. So I wanted to recap them and give you all the latest updates on all of the trade rumors around the Dolphins in the NFL right now. So stay tuned and get locked in for some Dolphins trade rumors. The Miami Dolphins are certainly going to be sellers at the trade deadline. And on today's show, we got the latest trade intel heading to the trade deadline. We'll have reports from Jordan Schultz, Diana Rossini, Ian Rapoport, because the Dolphins are receiving a ton of calls before the deadline. And if we're going to be honest, everything is on the table when it comes to Miami. Like, we have dispelled trading Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Patrick Paul. But, like, I got to be honest, like, with the way the season's heading, would it be shocking if Miami just decided to do a full teardown? I don't think so. Now, would I trade Waddle? No, and we'll talk more about that in the latest reports around him. But I did want to share this quote from Mike McDaniel over the weekend when asked about potential trade rumors. He said that all rumors are baseless currently, and that's unfortunate because this time of year bothers me for the sake of individual players having to answer questions about rumors. Now, Mike, you say baseless, but now you're 1-6. Like, you can't say these trade rumors are baseless when your team is clearly going to be trading people away at the deadline. Is it fair to the players to be asked on Thursday and Friday about if they've seen reports and the rumors? No, probably not. But it's going to be asked, and it deserves to be asked because the reporters are just doing their job, number one. And number two, we all know the Dolphins are going to be trading players away at the deadline. So it's not baseless. And there are some players that are getting way more interest than others, which we'll share those reports here in a second. But make sure you follow us over on IG. At Dolphins Today IG is the handle. Currently got 1,377 followers. Looking to get to 1,400. We put more content out over there. Shorts, posts, everything in between. Go check out more at Dolphins Today IG. So when you look at the Dolphins roster, I think these are the 4 top trade candidates that Miami has. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Jalen Wright. I know a lot of people are going to ask about Achane and Jalen Waddle. Certainly, they are getting calls on those two. But if you're asking me legitimate players that could be traded, those are the 4 that I think are the most likely to be dealt. And I want to focus on the 2 edge rushers as we have done a lot over the past couple of weeks. Because Diana Rossini over the weekend reported that the Dolphins are getting lots of calls on pass rushers Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. And this story was kind of corroborated by Jordan Schultz on Monday when he reported that teams are currently monitoring Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and even Matthew Judon ahead of the NFL trade deadline. So if Miami makes a pair of deals in a couple of trades, I would assume it has to do with some of their veteran edge rushers. And clearly Jalen Phillips is going to be the one that players and teams want the most, but he's also going to be the most expensive and valuable asset Miami currently has out of tradable guys. Like, Phillips picked up his 2nd sack of the season this past Sunday against Cleveland. He's been the best pass rusher statistically for Miami in terms of looking at his advanced numbers of pressures, pass rush win rate. Now the sacks haven't come, has 2 this season compared to Bradley Chubb's 4, but Phillips has been way better, especially in the run game as well. Phillips has set the edge. He's tackled better than the veteran Bradley Chubb. But if we're going to be real, like, both of these players will be having a lot of interest around them, and both of them should be traded if you're asking me. But let me know your thoughts before we continue. Pin comment, should the Dolphins trade Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips? Get down in the comment section and let me know why for yes or N for no. I think without a doubt, both should go. And this is not me, by the way, getting angry about the play by Phillips and Chubb. It's not me hating on them as players. Both should go just from a pure logical, common sense perspective. Just think about it this way. Assuming that Ross fires Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier in some capacity over the next 6 months, whether it's during the season or after the season, you will have a completely new regime making decisions. You have a new GM, a lot of new front office personnel, and a new head coach. Well, the coach and GM did not draft Jalen Phillips. They did not trade for Bradley Chubb. They did not coach Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. So they are not going to be married to those 2. So why not trade them now? It really would not make sense to keep them around, because if you have a new GM, you have a new coach this offseason, you are not going to re-sign Jalen Phillips because he is a free agent. And why would he re-sign with Miami with a full new regime? And Bradley Chubb is likely going to be a post-June 1st 1 cut or trade because it saves you $20 million in cap space, and he currently has a $31 million cap hit. The two of them are just simply not going to be in Miami long term, so you should trade them now. You might be able to get a third for Jalen Phillips because he has a hot market with not a lot of teams selling pass rushers and a lot of teams buying. You might be able to get a fifth-round pick for Bradley Chubb. But there is no question about it. Those two should be played or traded before the November 4th trade deadline. Coming up in just 1 second, we got an update on Jalen Waddle and the latest surrounding him in the trade rumor mill. But before we get into that, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every single day. The right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid. So simple, so easy to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. How you play is up to you. You want flexibility? Choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. You can actually also follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, celebrity partner, just someone picks you like. Hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab on Prize Picks. You can even take an entry like mine. I took more than Steph Curry, half a point on the max discount. Hopefully you did as well. Keep an eye on those max discounts. I got that paired up with Nikola Jovic, more than 6.5 rebounds and assists, and less than Paolo Banchero, 25.5 points. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, now I want to take a look at the Jalen Waddle trade rumors because we talked a lot about them late last week, and it was pretty frustrating, not going to lie, because I don't want to trade Waddle. He's my favorite player on the team, and I get why some people could make sense of it because it's like tear this whole thing down, get an extra first-round pick potentially. I still think it's a bad decision, and I'll explain why here in a second. But Ian Rapoport kind of mentioned that it doesn't seem likely that they are going to trade Jalen Waddle, even if teams are calling, which they certainly have. Rapoport said sources say the teams that have been asking about Waddle have been told Miami has no interest in trading him. And to me, that is the right decision. To rebuild a roster, you need pillars. Like, you can't just do a complete teardown. You need to tear it down and rebuild, sure, but there needs to be a couple of guys that lead the locker room and kind of lead that rebuild. And those are called pillars. I think Jalen Waddle is as much of a pillar as you can imagine. Drafted top 10 in 2021. 1,000 yards in every year of his career but one, and it was the year Tua missed 6 games. Like, this is a top 15, top 20 wide receiver in football who is still 26, under contract for 3 more seasons, and is a valued member of the community as well as the organization. Trading him away, even if you got a first-round pick, which I wouldn't even pick up the phone unless I got a first-round pick, would be a very bad decision. Keep Jalen Waddle. Make sure you are subscribed because we're going to have you locked in on all trade rumors before that November 4th trade deadline. We're just under about 2 weeks away from that deadline. So make sure you're locked in because it's going to be here much sooner than anticipated. All right, calling on Jalen Waddle. I think there are 4 teams that could be trading and calling for Jalen Waddle. I think the New York Giants, Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are teams that I think would be calling. The Steelers are a team that I think would very much well be in on trading for Jalen Waddle. They have longly looked as a wide receiver 1. We know the Giants' buzz have been the loudest. The Falcons looking at another weapon potentially with Drake London. And the Niners with Ricky Pearsall kind of banged up, Brandon Ayuk being MIA. I think the 49ers are a sneaky team that could be calling on Jalen Waddle. But the team that everyone wanted to talk about is the New York Giants. Well, Dianna Russini kind of dispelled that a little bit, saying despite the loss of Malik Neighbors, the Giants aren't aggressively working the phones to add talent at receiver right now. Now, is that the right decision? I don't know. But I do like the fact that Russini is reporting this. I gotta be honest. Because I don't want to trade Waddle. I can't trade him. I can't do it. I can't support it. If I got like 2 first-round picks, all right, yeah, I can't turn that down. I don't even know if I want to trade him for a first. It sounds all good, but you trade Waddle, and the next thing you know, wide receiver is one of your biggest needs. So why trade him? That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't want to trade Waddle. I want to keep him in Miami. I hope he's a Miami lifer. I don't think it would be smart to trade him. That'll do it for this episode of Dolphins Today. Like I said off the top, go follow us over on Instagram for more Dolphins content. We do post a lot over there as well in between our videos. So go give us a follow. Hopefully I see you over there. Woo!
If you have to keep one between Waddle and Achane,
Waddle.
no hesitation.
Yeah. I mean, wide receivers are more valuable than running backs.
Achane's a stud, though.
Like, Achane is definitely better for his position than Waddle is for his. But it's not really close, in my opinion. Who is more valuable across the league? Really not close. They're not close. Well, I'll say this, folks. We're going to sign off here on today's live show. If a super chat comes in, we'll stay live. If not, we'll sign off. See you live again on Thursday.
Where hopefully we have some more to talk about.
We will have something to talk about.
There will be a lot.
Yes, we will.
2 videos tomorrow. 2 videos Wednesday. Video in the morning on Thursday.
A lot of stuff, man.
4 live. You know what would be cool?
What's that?
If they fired Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier tomorrow morning.
Well, they wouldn't do that, so.
I just said it would be cool, that's all.
Yeah.
Would it not?
It would be. And actually, I don't know if I'd want it to happen like that. I don't want it to be in the most incompetent way possible, personally. But.
Would that be the most incompetent way possible?
Yeah, because you can't let the guy speak to the media after the game. Well, so the way firings work is you either do it on a bye week or you do it the day after a game, and you don't let the guy speak to the media. They let Mike McDaniel speak to the media today, which means he's coaching them.
That is what that means, unfortunately, yes.
So. Yeah. All right, I'll do it for today's live show. Appreciate everybody who hung out with us today. Like I said, we'll be live again on Thursday. We'll have videos out tomorrow and Wednesday, as we do every day. So see you then. For Coop, Rolly, peace out.